Welcome to LabMinutes.com and our lab video series on Palo Alto Firewall. This is Metha, your instructor for this video series. For a complete list of Palo Alto videos, you can visit our website under the security section. There you can also sign up for our newsletters to receive the latest video updates. While the physical firewall has always been what most of us are used to deal with, virtual firewall has been making its way into the network, especially in the data center virtual environment, the private and the public cloud, now that the protecting virtual workload has become many organization priority. This is not to mention that virtual firewall is a great alternative for learning purposes, as you don't need to have the actual firewall hardware, you need just a server and some licenses. So in this video, we are going to install a virtual Palo firewall on VMware ESXi and go through a bootstrap process similarly to what we did in the last video with the physical firewall. And here is a lab diagram, and for this particular lab, we are just going to be adding one more firewall to what we had in the last video. All right, so last video we had the two physical firewall, HQ Firewall 1 and 2, that we initialized and brought up with management access connected to core switch 1, and you can, I guess, consider this portion of the network right here being the headquarters. What we're going to do now is to bring up a Palo virtual firewall at what is considered a remote site. Right, and it's going to be installed on the ESXi with 3 interfaces that we will configure. The ETH1/1 is the outside, 1/2 being the inside, and of course the management interface. The inside VLAN for that remote site is VLAN 1 with the subnet 172.17.0/24 with the management IP of the firewall because it's going to be a .250. Just because this is a lab environment, I'm going to have the luxury of having a network adapter on our Windows 2012 domain controller that we also use as an RDP jump box over here directly connected to that simulated remote site subnet. All right, so we can directly web into the firewall once we bring up that management interface. Okay, so first of all, a virtualized Palo Alto firewall is referred to as a VMSeries. So from now on, we're going to try to call it a VMSeries firewall. A VMSeries is supported on most popular hypervisor platforms such as the VMware ESXi, KVM, Hyper-V, as well as the public cloud like AWS, Azure, and GCP. There are different models of the VMSeries for you to choose from, and this includes, let me see if I can bring up a list for you. I think I have that open already. Right here, the VM50, 100, 200, 300, 1000 HV, 500, and all the way to the 700. With the larger the number, implying the bigger the capacity and the higher hardware resource consumption or requirement as well. Selecting the VMSeries model comes down to capacity and throughput, with the VM50 starting at, although not really show on this table right here, 200 meg for the app ID, and it can scale all the way up to 16 gig for the bigger box like a VM700 right there. That's for the throughput, but in terms of capacity, you can refer to this page right here where there's the number of sessions, number of security rules, dynamic IP supported, security zone, IPsec tunnel, and SSL VPN tunnel. All right, and this document right here is called, I guess you can just look up VMSeries model as part of the VMSeries deployment guide. The VMSeries model you selected mandates 2 things: their hardware resource requirements as well as the license. You must provision the hardware resources to meet the minimum requirement of this table right here, and this is VMSeries system requirement, again under the same VMSeries deployment guide. As you can see, a different VMSeries model, right, from the VM50 that requires 2 CPU, this much memory, right, this much hard drive, all the way to like a VM700 that goes all the way up to 16 CPU, 56 gig of RAM, and 60 gig of hard drive. Now for the licenses, you must purchase what's called a capacity license that matched the model number. So depending on which model you pick, you have to purchase the matching capacity license. One thing you might also want to keep in mind is that there are a bunch of limitations that comes with the VMSeries, and you can look them up on the Palo Alto document. But The key one here is the lack of virtual system, and the vMotion is not being supported. All right, so just keep that in mind.